What happens if you just love your kids? How many times have we experienced going off on our children, especially when they are doing their homework? How many times have we found ourselves yelling at them, getting in their face, threaten, threatening to whoop them, to take away items from them that they really love, punishing them, popping them upside the head, especially while they are trying to get their work done. They're trying to do their homework, they're trying to study, they don't get it. You, you're asking them, why don't they get it? You're looking at the problem, you're looking at the passage, and you're like, how come you don't get this? What's your problem? You learned this already. We went over this before. Your teacher taught you this. All of these things are happening, but yet and still, your child is just sitting there. Sometimes they may break down crying. Sometimes they just sit there and they just like looking, with a face like, sometimes they're looking in fear. But again, I started off with what if? What happens if we just love our kids? What happens if we just start off with love? Well, I'm going to tell you one of the main reasons why we don't do that is because of the toxicity that we still have inside of us, a lot of us in the Black community, that stems from the slave plantation, that stems from that post traumatic slave syndrome, the very thing that I talk about heavy on my podcast because it is real. We are still suffering from it. And it is something that we must continue to address head on, not shy away from it. It is at the root cause of why we have a lot of illnesses, a lot of issues in the Black community, and especially when it pertains to the rearing of our children. And so the reason why I had titled this episode as such, what happens if you just love your kids, is when I was reading again, or rereading rather, from this book here, Spare the Kids Why Whooping Children Won't Save Black America by Dr. Stacy Patton. And in this particular chapter, one of the things it was addressing, and what she addresses really one of the themes of this book, is that this is one of our struggles in the Black community. Looking at our children with love, looking at our children in a way of nurturing them, caring, grace, mercy, patience. All of these things are intertwined with the word love. When you look at your children and you view them in a way that they are special, that they are this vessel that you have the ability as the parent or the caregiver to pour as much as you possibly can in them. You have that power. When you look at your children in that way, then that's when you will see your child grow and blossom into a child who has great self-esteem, great self-worth and value. They can walk into any situation and know and understand they can be their full selves. However, the antithesis to love is hate, right? Is disdain, a heavy amount of just dislike. But where does that come from? Why is it that we have to deal with still in the Black community these issues of parents? And I have to keep this real because this is real reading talk. The issue of our parents, in particular the mothers, when it comes to the raising of our children, we feel like we got to go off. We feel like we have to exert this certain level of power, this dominance over our children. Well, like I said, with Real Reading Talk, I always talk about what the real systemic issues are, where they come from. This again is something, this this sick, twisted, maladaptive behavior that we adopted from the slave plantation. If you are in a hostile environment, you're constantly under tyranny and under oppression. You're constantly having to deal with somebody over you, and you don't know what's going to happen with your child. That child can be taken at any moment. That child could be whipped at any moment, raped at any moment, all of these different things. It creates this inside of you to where you have no idea how long you're going to be with that child. You don't have time to be able to nurture and have a loving and caring type of relationship with that child. Everything is about survival, and it's survival in under the most excruciating, horrible, sick, twisted, demonic conditions that was ever known to man. That chattel slavery was a B, for real, for real. And so when you have those types of conditions, and we're not talking about conditions that lasted for about 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, you're talking about ever since the inception of this sick place. You're talking about compounded tyranny. And so when you are in that condition and you're trying to survive, you're still trying to, those of our ancestors who did feel like, okay, I still want to live. I'm still going to keep going, but how can I make this work? How can I make this happen? So that's when you have these issues. That's just like one of the famous examples that Dr. Joy DeGruy that she gives in this book is that mother who she starts off in the present. She talks about how that mother was complimented. Well, I excuse me, how she actually had noticed another mother's, and it was so what she said, it was a black mother and a white mother. And she said, and it could be either, she just gave the example of black mother, white mother, it could be either parent. But she was just basically saying how the black mother was given compliments to the white mother about her child's success and how great they were doing. And then the white mother was just, beaming with pride and just like, oh, yes, going on. Oh, yes. Oh, exactly. And then it dawned on the white mother that the black mother's child was actually exceeding her child and doing very well. And then the black mother's knee-jerk response was, oh, no, 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 girl, please, you should have saw him last night. He was tripping. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. She immediately starts to downplay her child. And so in Dr. Joy's eloquent way of explaining that scenario, it's not that the black mother was not happy about the compliment that she received. She immediately felt like she had to downplay her child's, doing very well, her child's, great progress. Why? Then she took it back and connected it to the slave plantation, to that overseer coming over and looking at that mother's child and saying, oh, I see your child. Oh, he's doing very well. He's progressing well on the plantation. He's growing well. He's handling his business, picking that cotton real good. And what the mother say, oh no, sir, no, 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 no. He's shiftless. He be forgetting stuff. He don't know what he doing. I had to just get on him. And the reason why she did that, because she knows already she's a steps ahead. That's how wise our ancestors were. She steps ahead. She know in that sick, demonic, twisted thinking of that slave master that he's already thinking in his mind, I think I'm gonna have to take this boy and rent him out somewhere. I'm gonna have to sell him, and so he can be on another plantation, because then that can bring more money in. So she immediately wants to make sure that that doesn't happen. So that's why she downplays her child's progress. Once again, maladaptive behaviors in an environment where it's filled with tyranny, oppression, you have to survive. That right there is called, that's that epigenetics. That's impressed upon in our DNA that we pass down from generation to generation. That's one of the ugly things that we kept. Now there are great things that we did continue to keep, like for example, our resilience, our grit. Okay, having that aspect be a part of Black people's DNA. You know, when folks talk about grit and you talk about grit, they better put, when they have the definition of grit, they need to have a Black person's face right there next to the definition of the word grit, okay? Because we exemplify grit. We know what it means to make a way out of no way and to not give up. So that's the stuff that we keep. But the stuff that we got to get rid of are these things in which we feel like, for example, beating our children. And that is something that, again, that happened on the slave plantation. Beating your child, berating your child, going off on your child, because you're doing it because you're trying to keep them safe. Especially being a child naturally, and this is that God-given internal thing that God gave children, they want to explore. They want to, go around and they want to try things, right? But if you're in a system of the false notion of white supremacy and you are on a slave plantation, you can't always go and just try stuff. They automatically have to be groomed with, okay, these are the rules. This is what you got to do. And it's not just a talking to, they're seeing their parents operate in that way in relation to those white enslavers. And so when they see their child getting out of line, they see their child not acting right, they see their child not getting it right away, because they had to get stuff right away. It wasn't no, okay, yes, we're gonna show you properly in how to be a slave, and and you have to be patient in how it wasn't none of that. No, it was, you better get it right, or if not, you're gonna get beat. Or if not, one of your limbs gonna get cut off. I better not catch you trying to read, trying to learn, trying to do anything that a human being should do. So these are the things that our ancestors, they had to adopt to survive. So now fast forward to, like I said in the beginning with the scenario. Your child is at the table, they're at their desk, they're doing their homework. And here you come, you look and you notice that their paper is still empty. And so you like, what's going on? What's wrong? And the child is just sitting there, they're not producing. And the more and more they're quiet, they're not answering you right away, you start getting mad. You ain't hear me just talking to you? Why didn't you answer that question? What's the problem? Didn't we just go over this? And then it progresses, it progresses, it progresses. Next thing you know, you in their face. Next thing you know, you getting mad. Next thing you know, you may pop them upside the head. Get it, what's your problem? But guess what? Unfortunately, what you're doing is you are allowing that cortisol levels in that child to raise. What is cortisol? Cortisol is that stress hormone. It's that internal alarm clock, if you will, that we have, that everybody has inside of them. Are you all familiar with the fight or flight or freeze? That's what the cortisol does. So that stress hormone, it can't get too high. And if it gets too high, what happens is that either a person, they are going to fight, flight, or freeze. And of course, naturally, when you have a child in relation to their parent, they're gonna freeze. And so when they freeze and they don't produce, because that's what cortisol does when you have too much of that cortisol in increasing and running inside of you, it can create adverse effects. It could create issues inside of you. And some of the side effects are, for example, Too much of it can create anxiety. It can create depression. It can also create memory and concentration issues. Yes. So, a lot of times when our children, when they're not producing, and because of the fact that we're yelling at them and we're going off and we're like, why you ain't getting this? You just went over this. We just went over these questions the other day. Now you're not answering them. What's the problem? And then you're getting more and more, you're getting upset. You want to go off because you're like, you know your baby need to get this. You know they need to pass this test. You know they need to move on to the fourth grade. You know that good and well that if they do not get this, then it's a possibility of them being held back. And a lot of that real talk, a lot of that we start looking at ourselves. A lot of times it don't really just be about the child, it's about us. Because we're looking at it like, okay, if that child don't succeed, then we're like, this is a reflection of me as a parent. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So when you don't do good, then people gonna be looking at me and they're gonna say I'm a bad mother, I ain't handling my business, or I'm a bad father or stepmother or stepfather, whatever the case may be. Because that's what it starts to become. It becomes really a selfish thing. And so that's why I'm here to talk about this issue. Because if we don't talk about the issues in a real, authentic way, will still continue to pass on these maladaptive behaviors in our community. And we'll pass it on as, well, this is just what we do in the Black community. We beat their ass, right? We go off. That my mom, she went off on me. Look at me. I'm a lawyer now. My dad, he was up in my face, you know what I'm saying? He was going off, yelling at me like a drill sergeant. Now I'm the CEO of a company. But we're not understanding that all of that going off, it wasn't because the fact that them going off did not create the success. It was in spite of. It was in spite of. And again, I always make reference to Dr. Joy DeGruy with that because this, she led the way as far as, and I know she actually studied under her scholars in getting this information. But I am her mentee. She just don't know it. Okay? Because that woman is bad when it comes to this subject right here. I mean, just breaks it down just in a way that we can understand. Because again, when you have been raised in the Black experience, when you understand this culture, when you were raised in this culture, you understand your people, then you can better address the issues. And that's why I said I need to make sure that I'm addressing these, because all of these things are related to why we see our children dealing with issues of high levels of illiteracy, not being able to read in a way where they should be reading. It has nothing to do with the fact that they don't have the ability. No, on the contrary. But if somebody creates conditions of unfairness, they create these conditions of chaos, they create these conditions of poverty, of lack, of always trying to tell us that here's a new rule. If they don't do this, then guess what? They're not going to pass. Oh, here's the new test, y'all. You got the Iowa, you got the MAP, you got the NWEA, you got the QRSTU, WXYZ. They got all kind of tests. Every few years, they got something new. And if we don't capitulate as Black folks, if we don't get on it, then here comes all the statistics. Yes, because you got all of these, the reason why we have high levels of incarceration in the Black community is linked to high levels of illiteracy. The reason why we have high levels of pregnancy in the Black community, unwed mothers, is because high levels of illiteracy. The reason why we have all of these high levels of impoverished communities is because of high levels of illiteracy. All of this, right? But they're not talking about the cause. They're not talking about the conditions that was created. They want to always tell us, well, see, the reason why y'all in jail is because you ain't really reading. And so then it trickles then to us. And then what do? We get what we start getting panicky, hypervigilant. Uh-oh, oh shoot. Oh my goodness. All right. No, I'm gonna make sure you do your work. I'm gonna make sure that if I gotta come up to that school and I got my bonnet on, back in the day, it used to be the rollers in the head and the switch. I experienced that. Okay, you got the rollers in the head, you got the house shoes on, coming up there with the switch. Here come mama, ready to go off. Oh, she acting up. Oh, okay. Now it's the bonnets coming up in the school. A little Torre, he acting up. Oh, okay. I got something for his ass. This is what we do because the reason why we're doing that, again, the conditions have been created. Folks is telling us, well, see, you got to make sure that you have this set in place now. See, this is the new standard. So if they have not completed these common core standards, if they have not completed this in this way, then guess what? Then they are not going to achieve success. They are not going to pass on. This is what we're hearing. So what we keep hearing, Miss Finkelstein in the back, you know what I'm saying, of our heads. We keep hearing her voice, you know what I'm saying? And so here it is. We're back at square one. Here it is. We're like, okay, now we're gonna make sure that he get his work done or she gets her work done. So now what I want to do is talk about solutions. Because we know the problem. We see what happens when we take that method of keep putting that trauma, keep making our babies feel like they are just, oh my goodness, they ain't gonna be successful. We scaring them half to death. So now what we need to do is we need to change it radically, a radical change. So I have taken the ability to write down 5 things that we can do to create this radical change in our homes right now so that we can begin to produce children who are going to grow into those adults who are healthy minded. They have a good energy, a good spirit. They can walk into any place and have value and self-worth. They'll have the attitude, I can do anything because I have the support, I have the backing of my family. My family loves me. They care for me. They know I'm a human being. They know I'm going to make mistakes sometimes. And guess what? They got my back. They're not enabling me. No, they're not. They're empowering me. They don't have to berate me. They don't have to humiliate me. They don't have to come up to the school and beat me in front of the classroom. They ain't got to go tell me, go get the switch. They ain't got to tell me to get the belt or do a sneak attack on me as I'm getting out of the shower or the bathtub and be waiting with that belt or the extension cord. And unfortunately, folks still do things like that in 2024 or cussing their kids out. Talking about, oh no, you gonna act right. Oh no, you gonna act right. Looking like a straight monster. I mean, literally, man, we have to. Yes, I can go on back on that road again talking about that. I think I talked about that part enough and what we've done. Now it's time for me to talk about the solutions. Here we go. First one. You have to condition your mind to think, I love my child no matter what. That's right. Again, always start with love. Remember how we hear love is all we need? Mary J. Blige, love is all we need, right? Now, I'm going to tell you, when I would hear that a lot, I'm like, okay, that sounds so corny. Love is all we need, all right? But real talk, y'all, it is true. Literally conditioning your mind to lead with love when it comes to raising your babies. Now, I know for some folks are like, what do you mean? I love my child just because, I get upset with them or whatever. I don't mean I don't love them. No, that's not what I'm saying. No, you love them, but what your child is processing, if you are not showing them that it's okay to make mistakes. That's why I put in there no matter what. It's okay to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. I still love you anyway. You're going to forget. I still love you anyway. I know we went over this concept. I know you read this paragraph a bazillion times. And for whatever reason, this time you stumbled over about 5 words. I still love you anyway. We literally have to change our mindsets because, unfortunately, in the Black community, we think that loving our children means to punish them all the damn time. That's what love is. We got to go the hell off. I'm loving you. That's why I go off on you. Does that mean, am I saying that you're not going to ever get upset? You're human, of course. Does that mean that you're not going to ever raise your voice sometimes? Well, you may have to, because I know some people listen like, well, some children are different. Some kids, they may have to get that right in them. But do you always have to lead with the That's the part I'm talking about. We can't look at our children as, well, they built different. So all of that, being fluffy and talking to them in a way where it's like, soft and soup. No, that's because again, that goes back to the trauma. That goes back to what we've normalized as being in the Black culture. We've normalized that whole, yeah, I gotta be rough, abrasive. They gotta know where I'm coming from. They gotta know I mean business. So we just all of the being the kind and showing that mercy that goes out the window. And so what I'm saying is that they have to know, they have to feel secure because when they are loved, that's when the security comes in. Think about it with yourself. When somebody is when they are making you feel comfortable, when they're making you feel safe, that actually relaxes your body. So you're not feeling stressed. So now you're actually able to think and process things a whole lot clearer. So that's why I started off with that one, changing that shift in our minds, literally, so that we are going into loving our children no matter what. And they have to feel that. In order for them to feel it, we have to actually give it to them. Number two, create an environment that's filled with positive affirmations. All right. So, for example, you can do things like, and I've heard of parents doing this in the morning, they'll have like different words of encouragement, affirmations, different things like that. You'll see that a lot now, which I'm proud to see on social media. You may have a father talking to his daughter in the mirror. They looking together. He's looking at her. They looking in the mirror together. He's saying things like, "I love you. You are going to be a queen. You are smart. You are brilliant. You can push through." And they're doing it in a way where it's supportive and it's positive. So those are the affirmations. Those are the things that you are telling your child so that they can look deep within. So if their parent is not there, you as the mother, the father, stepmother, stepfather, whoever caregiver, you're not there. They already have it ingrained in their subconscious. They're like, oh, I can push through this. I am brilliant. I am smart. I am Black. I am beautiful. I can do anything I put my mind to. It is possible. I think abundantly. Those are affirmations. You got to fill your environment with that. You can even put up affirmations. You can put it on your child's mirror. So then again, that's creating a literacy, positive literacy environment. So you can put on their mirror, I am beautiful. I am smart. I am brilliant. I am a genius. So now they are normalizing this positive way of thinking. So that's number two. Number three, feed your child things like blueberries and healthy snacks while they're doing their homework. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things, and I remember when I was tutoring a student, this was actually, I think this was my first white student that I was tutoring actually. And I'll never forget that her mother had like a little bowl of blueberries right there next to her. So she was able to snack on those while she was doing a tutoring session. And I was just like, and I remember that. And I was just like, wow. I said, I would love to see more of my Black parents doing that when their child is being tutored, or even when their child is coming to school. Do you know how many times I've seen, and I know y'all know what I'm talking about? Kids coming to school, they got the red chips, fingers all red. It's 8 in the morning. They coming in the door. They got the blue juice, the red juice. They got Pepsi and Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew in the morning. All of that stuff is just totally just like garbage to the brain, especially early in the morning. Just like I've said plenty of times before, I'm not acting like I'm some just health fanatic and I'm just over here and my kids don't they don't touch chips or they have not touched pop or whatever the case may be. But what I am saying is that when you have to have your child in an environment to where they are about to do their work, they need to do their homework, make sure that they are eating something that's healthy, because that is going to contribute to them being able to not only obtain the information but retain the information, especially when you're giving them fresh fruits like blueberries and you're giving them strawberries. And the reason why I lead with blueberries is because blueberries, not only do I love blueberries, however, blueberries are that fruit that's high in antioxidants. All right, it's like one of those cancer fighting fruits. And it also is that fruit that's good for your mood. It helps you to have a better mood. So if you are trying to, and also almonds, almonds is great for the brain. Almonds helps the memory. So when we are doing things like that for our child while they're doing their work, then you will see literally, you will start to see these results that we have been wanting for our child to produce. All right. So that's number three. Number four, if you're not in the mood to help your child, then tell them simply, right now I'm tired. I just got off work, or I just got back from the office. I cannot help you right now. I need a break. I need to rest. Give me an hour, and then I'll help you after I get my rest. Start talking to your child about how you feel so that they can understand, like, okay, you know what, my mother, my father, they're human. They right now they're not able to help me. They aren't in the mood. They articulated that. They communicated that with me. And so what you're doing is, number one, you're empowering your child because you're showing them what that looks like when it comes to communicating properly. Because a lot of times we'll be taking a lot of stuff on because we have this superhuman type of mentality as Black folks. We like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I got to do this. I got to make sure I show up. I got to make sure I'm handling this. And you putting all this on our shoulders because we know that's once again, condition of the false notion of white supremacy. This is what was created. We got to handle all of it. You Black, you can do it. You can handle pain. You can handle all the burden. Go ahead. You got it. You Black. And we internalize that. But then when it gets to a point where we feel like we about to bust, unfortunately, we bust on the people that's closest to us, which is our kids, spouses, our family members. So that's why we have to start saying, no, I'm not superhuman. I worship God. Okay. And so I am going to let my child know I can't help you right now. I'm tired. I need a break. I need to rest. I can help you later on. Or, which goes into number five, ask for help. Oh, ask for help. Now, y'all know how that is for us. Oh, my goodness, y'all know it can be hard, especially us as Black women. Ooh, ooh. It's hard to ask for help, ain't it? And I'm gonna say that for my brothers too, but definitely, and a lot of sisters, a lot of us can relate, especially to we still are dealing with the statistics in our communities where we have a significantly higher rate of Black women who are leading families. So we still have that high rate of unmarried Black folks, all right, and especially when it comes to Black women, A lot of times we are the last ones to be married. And so a lot of us don't have that assistance, that help. So we're used to taking on the burdens on our own. So it gets a little difficult to ask for help. And then, especially, too, you don't want to be looked at as vulnerable. You don't want to be looked at as, you're weak. Guess what? You're human. You are. You're going to experience weakness. You're going to experience those issues of times where you're going to need some outside assistance. Start with inside the home. You have older, if they are, and again, I'm not going to, this is for everybody, right? So if you are married and you're listening, and as a mom, because I know, and I say as moms in particular, because a lot of times we are typically the ones usually helping our kids with the homework. We're doing a lot of those things. Well, now what we need to do is say, okay, no, no, honey, I can't help. I cannot help Muhammad with his homework today. I can't help Aisha with her homework today. I need you to step in and help. I'm tired. I need to relax. And again, that goes into having healthy relationships, because when you have a healthy relationship, when we have those healthy marriages, then that husband is going to automatically get on board. Okay, no problem. I got you. I got us. This not just your child. This is our children. This is our baby or our babies. Yes, I got your back. Or if there's a situation where a mother is divorced, or a father. Let me say this for my brothers out there listening, because I got the demographics where I got my brothers and sisters who listening. Okay. And my brothers out there, you out there, you handling your business, divorced brother, you have the kids this weekend, or you may have custody of the kids. And so you handling your business. Ask for help. Don't feel like that you got to put the burden all on your back. You might have other siblings, so that older sibling may be available to help, or you might have to get somebody on the outside. This is when you have to say, okay, I may need a tutor. I may need to pay that extra money to get a tutor because I can't do it. I don't want to put my child in a position where they got to always feel scared or nervous, or they got to feel like, oh my goodness, here they go. My mom is about to get salty at me because I don't get it. My father, he about to go off again. He was so frustrated. Them days is done, y'all. Nah, we have to understand that we can ask for help, and we have to normalize that. But again, that's us normalizing having love in our community. And when you lead with love, when you lead with grace and mercy and patience, then that's when we begin to develop a strong foundation in our community, them strong relationships. And even if it's a situation where you have two people, they're not married, they're not together, still, they understand that, okay, we got a job to do. And we want to do this in the best healthy way possible. That's why we got to get rid of these maladaptive behaviors that we have brought back from the slave plantation. We got to get rid of this ish, y'all, for real. Was we going to kill ourselves? But you got to remember, that's what that system wants us to do. They want us to have that infight, and they want us to kill ourselves. They want us to turn on each other. They want us to look at our kids like, yeah, in disdain. You just make me sick. I can't believe this. Saying all of these things that literally, I truly believe a lot of our people, they don't believe that. But guess what? If you have a condition that's created to where we're always thinking about what this system, what they want, what they need, always trying to feed into them. So we're doing everything possible to make sure that we got that, we feed into that system. And it takes away our humanity. So with that being said, I'm going to end with that. I hope that with this particular episode of Real Reading Talk that you all gain lots of benefit. I hope that you all share this episode as well. Sharing is caring. Make sure that when it's uploaded to YouTube that you like, you subscribe, you comment, you share, you hit the notification bell. Because again, I am here for y'all. Y'all are here for me. We are here for each other. All right. Damn all that. We ain't thinking about nobody else. We here for each other. We know what we need. We got to get to work. And again, like I always say, as I'm reminding you, I'm reminding myself, I'm not talking to anybody like I got it all figured out. This is literally for me a lot of stuff on OJT, on the job training. Okay. So now I want to go ahead and end again with the books. So, well, let me hold this book up again. I talked about this before. This is the book that I've been going back to rereading, Spare the Kids While Whooping Children Won't Save Black America. Please make sure that you all, you go to the library. You don't have to get the book. You can just go to the library and rent it out. Borrow it from the library. I'm telling you, this is a life-changing book, okay? You will literally begin to be like, okay, you know what? A lot of this stuff that we was raised with, or you may still be doing when it comes to thinking that it's okay to go off on your kids. That book right there help you change your mind with that, for real, straight up. So I highly recommend. This is the book again, like I said, that I've been rereading. Also, I would love for you all to, if you all are interested in a tutoring session for your child, pre-K through fourth grade, please go to my website, abclearntutoring.com. This is the time. Please make sure they're getting that reading in, getting that reading assistance in as well. Also the founder and executive director of ABC Read, which is a nonprofit organization. We've given away over, I think the number now is like 6,643, but I got to add to that now because we've given away 25 more books just this past Saturday. I'm giving away more, inshallah, God willing. And we love it. And these are the kind of books that we've given to the community. Okay. So for those of you who are not in Cleveland, you can't benefit from our Bye-Bye Summer Slide reading camp that's going on this Saturday and one on the 27th of this month. God willing, inshallah, then you can please donate to our organization. You can go to our Cash App, ABC Read, and the number 1 at the end, okay? And again, please make sure that you share this podcast, Real Reading Talk. Again, Real Reading Talk is the podcast in which we discuss the real systemic issues that are at the very core, the very foundation, in a real way that have contributed to the high levels of illiteracy that plague our Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. This is real talk, no chaser. All right, straight up. You want the real of it? I'm going to talk about that. I calls out the false notion of white supremacy. I'm not going to say, well, it's just, just this little thing called racism. And, it's been a bothersome type of thing. No, I'm going to say what it is. Okay, period. All right, so name that ish so we can get rid of this ish together. All right, and last but not least, bam, reading is freedom. Please make sure you go to my website, readingisfreedom.store. You need to have these shirts on. All right, reason why is because this helps to, number one, implant in our brains the value of reading, how we need to read to do anything. Okay, people have seen these shirts out in the public. They'll read and they'll be like, "That's right, sure is." Oh, I like this shirt. I like that, and I'm like, "That's what I'm talking about." Go to the website, readingisfreedom.store. You can grab your shirt. Okay, so and I have plenty of designs on there, so make sure you go there. And that's it, y'all. Again, my name is Miss Sation. Make sure that you are reading for at least 30 minutes a day, and remember, reading is freedom.